Welcome to a new video where we have these two that we want to compare in terms of cameras. A few generations apart, the Pura X, the latest flip foldable from Huawei, against the P50 Pocket, the last flip foldable from Huawei that I tested out. And we will take a look at them in a bit more of a detail here in this camera comparison. So let's get started. It's a bit of a grayish day, so we are going out in a few minutes there, and we want to check out those here. First with the camera specs, the most important camera specs that we have here. Both feature a triple lens setup, but we have a zoom, a true optical zoom on the new Pura X, where we only have like another kind of color sensor that is helping a little bit on the P50 Pocket, so no true zoom there. And yeah, let's take a look at their camera specifications, and we start off with the videos, because both can use the outer screen, even though it's a bit small on the P50 Pocket, for videos. So I just omit the internal or in display or like in the flip side front facing cameras, because they are not very good on both there. Both I think 10 megapixels, so just ignore them. And for selfies and for videos, just take the ones that we have outside. So let's do it. Now recording internal mics here, Huawei Pura X, and I have the preview window available here as well, 4K 30, but it also works with 4K 60, but you have to flip the phone open, otherwise you only get 1080p 30, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it's the same issue that we already had with the P50 Pocket that is also plaguing this one here. Otherwise, we are recording with the main sensor here. All the sensors can record 4K 30, which is quite nice. Even the 8 megapixel one, yes, it is really switching, but probably it's like upscaling from like, let's say 6K to 8K, so that we get this. Internal mics, how is the noise suppression going for wind? Because it's quite windy here. And let's switch to the ultra wide angle by tapping the ultra wide angle button. And you can see a little bit of my arm there. It's quite a wide ultra wide angle here. I would say ideal for vlogging if you want to show something and don't want to like get too much. I have to like take a look at Timmy because he's like walking like weird here, and I have my daughter with me as well. So yeah. And let's try to zoom in on something. Let's try to zoom in maybe just on the roof there, because we don't have such a great zoom. We just have 3.5 times zoom that you can switch to here. And let's go, maybe this window there, 5 times zoom. And then I can go up to 10x zoom here. You can see it's not the best already. It's a bit grainy. It's a bit of a cloudy day that we have here. But at least the animations look pretty fine. So what do you think about this one? And now I'm recording with the P50 Pocket. Also, I see myself on this little tiny 1-inch, I think it is, kind of screen here, pretty nicely. And recording with the main camera sensor. This main camera sensor, however, is just a bit more cropped in. I think 27mm at least in photo. And I think in video mode also a little bit more cropped in than the Pura X 24mm that we had before. So what do you think about this one here? 4K 30, 4K 60 is also possible here, but 4K 30 I can switch between all lenses. So let's try to switch to the ultra wide angle just by tapping one button. And then I didn't see an animation, maybe there's one. Also pretty ultra wide here, this ultra wide angle. How detailed is it? How much stabilization do we have here on this one? How well is this working here as a vlogging cam, also with the internal mics and this quite of windy conditions that we have here? I think the Pura X has a little bit better wind suppression there. But what do you think about the P50 Pocket? Now same position here as before, and let's try to zoom in. We don't have a dedicated zoom lens here, so I go to 2x, which is a crop in the main, and then I have 5x as well, which is like also cropping in a little bit more. And then I can go up to 6x maximum here. And if I go back to 1, I think it's just, not zooming out, just cropping out. So what do you think about this one here in comparison to the Pura X?
I'm not sure if we have to even talk about the videos, because it's clear that this is a win for the Pura X, not only because this smooth zoom in and zoom out animations, but because everything else is like looking fine. Yes, granted, stabilization has some issues, and sometimes we have some focus hunting that we don't have on the P50 Pocket there. So the main camera sensor might be even looking a bit more natural, less contrasty on the P50 Pocket's a bit much more yellowish here on the Pura X there, but both are doing a fine job there, I would say, with the main camera sensor. The ultra wide angle, however, I think is a win for the Pura X. The colors are much nicer. It is a bit of grayish kind of day, and not so punchy, where it is much too punchy on the P50 Pocket there, I would say. And this is like something that I don't like too much. And yeah, then when it comes to zoom in, forget about it. It's like, it is another world that we have here in terms of zoom. So definitely win for the Pura X in terms of video. And it is, yeah, definitely beating the P50 Pocket in almost everything there. We start off with the photos, and if you don't see, the label here on the left is the Pura X, on the right is the P50 Pocket. We start off with 2x zoom here, 50mm roughly. This is what the Pura X is doing, and this is what the P50 Pocket is doing. There you can see the generational differences between those. This looks like a painting, and this looks like more AI kind of painting, because like the eyebrows are fake and the eyes are redrawn, but this looks better than this one here for sure. Also the colors much nicer, this orange here, and it's like, look at this. It's a huge difference. That's a different wallpaper, but it's a huge difference. So it's a mess on the P50 Pocket, and definitely the Pura X is winning here. And then this is another shot here. You can see this is like even more cropped in, like roughly the 3.5 times that we have on the Pura X. And you can see, yeah, this also heavily smoothing and my skin and editing stuff, but it's looking better than this mess here on the P50 Pocket. So yes, portraits with the 1X here also look nicer, more detailed. This looks a bit blurry, less detailed. Even if the eyebrows are a bit like redrawn on the Pura X, it's much nicer, much more detailed. Look at the eyes, and here on the Pura X. Also the colors more accurate because we have a warm light there. It's a bit too whitish. Then we go in, and there you can see now we have the watermarks. The P50 Pocket only has this watermark, no watermark with the settings, but they are taken with the default settings, and the P50 Pocket has 27mm by default. Where is it? 26 it says here. Should be 27. Never mind. And this one has 24mm, and both are doing quite a good job there, I would say. It's a bit more contrasty here. It's a bit more greenish kind of cast that we have on the P50 Pocket. When it comes to the Duplo, you can see both are very detailed, but I think that the Pura X is taking the crown there with a little bit more details there. Even though it is like so zoomed out, we have 27 megapixels instead of only 10 megapixels that the P50 Pocket can produce here, which gives us, yeah, with the high quality mode, an advantage in terms of detail levels for sure on the Pura X. And this is like another 84mm crop on the P50 Pocket, and yeah, it's, I think also is 84mm, yes. And the huge difference in terms of white balance, again, this is less warm, this is much more warmer, this is much more accurate because the stone here was orange and not red. And yeah, this here is an orange guy and not a red guy. And yeah, you can see the huge difference that we have there in terms of quality, and a little bit of bokeh there as well, as the green being more accurate on the Pura X. So yes, the Pura X is definitely winning for sure here. And also this selfie, well, looks pretty interesting, but I think the Pura X is doing a better job there still, where the P50 Pocket is not so far off here with the selfie. What do you think? Going outdoors, what we can see here with the main camera sensor is, again, a bit more crop on the P50 Pocket. When I zoom in to 100% here, we can clearly see that the P50 Pocket looks a bit sharper. It's a bit softer, definitely in the Pura X there. And in terms of colors, both very similar, so not much has changed here. We have the high resolution mode here on the Pura X, but it doesn't really help. I have to zoom out actually a little bit there, like this, to get like to a detail level that is comparable. That's like this. And it's a bit softer there on the Pura X. So this is something that I noticed for sure. But towards the sides, the Pura X is like way sharper there, way more detailed there than what the P50 Pocket can do. And then the ultra wide angle on both here, again, the Pura X is using its high res mode there. So we get 24 megapixels there. And the P50 Pocket is over sharpening everything. It looks like, appears to be sharper, but it's just like over sharpened there to oblivion almost, I would say. because the sensor is like so weak. This is a bit softer, definitely. It's a bit more punchy on the P50 Pocket there with the greens, and here you can see the nuances of differences in terms of different colors of the greenery, where here is like almost the same color, and yeah, definitely on the Pura X more realistic in this regard. Both are not doing a very great job, but I have to choose here between those two. Definitely the Pura X is doing a little bit better than the P50 Pocket there in this regard. Now we come to zoom shots. This is like 3 times zoom, and you can see it's already like getting to its maximum there. It's a different night and day difference because we don't have a dedicated zoom lens on the P50 Pocket. The Pura X has it, and this is like yeah, the more you zoom in, the more it becomes clear. I don't even have to like do much there. Yes, it's not perfect there on the Pura X because of the not so high resolution, but it's definitely better than the main camera crop that we have there on the this one was edited with AI even, and this is the one without AI. It's a bit more natural looking for sure in comparison to the one that tries to edit stuff with AI. And there's an option on the Pura X to automatically enable AI, so you get an AI picture next to the normal picture there automatically if you have like enough power. This is also taken by AI, 245 millimeters. I just want to show you what you can do here in comparison to, what is it here, 264, roughly the same, but this is like what you can get with the P50 Pocket. This is what you can get with the Pura X using AI for sure. It's smoothing everything out there, but it doesn't look too bad, especially when zoom out. And this is the one without AI, and there you can see, yeah, it's a night and day difference still. And yeah, these are the shots so far here for the daylight shots. And yeah, portraits is the Pura X. Zoom is definitely the Pura X because there's no real telezoom on the P50 Pocket. Main camera sensor, I could argue that it's on par almost. And ultra wide angle, I think we have a slight edge on the Pura X as well.
Now recording with the Huawei Pura X here at night, 4K 30 frames per second. There doesn't seem to be a night video mode available here for the Pura X on HarmonyOS 5. I'm walking towards the light here right now using the internal mics. How well is it doing here in terms of stabilization, in terms of image quality? Standing under the light here, walking away from the light now with the light in the background. How well is the lens coating here? Probably not the best. I know this already from the lens flares that we had in the past. What are you thinking about this right here? Now turning towards the light, how well is the Pura X doing at 4K 30 frames per second? There's also no video night mode for the P50 Pocket here from Huawei. Using this sensor here, which is a bit of an older sensor as you know already, but we have this nice Leica calibration tuning. What do you think about this one here? Using internal mic, standing under light, how well is the exposure doing? How well is the stabilization? How well is the sensor doing in general here? I don't even know if it's an Huawei sensor that we have here on the P50 Pocket. What do you think about this? Turning towards the light, how well it's doing in comparison to the Pura X?
The night photos are quite interesting because the Huawei P50 Pocket doesn't use night mode for this shot. They immediately shot this shot with the Pura X. Took a few seconds there. And 13 versus what is it, 13 millimeters, both 30 millimeters wide, which is quite nice, but much more warmish, much more greenish kind of tone on the P50 Pocket. And when I zoom in, almost no details, complete lack of details, where you don't even see the license plate, or that this car has a license plate, where here you can clearly see it. And yeah, the colors are wrong, and no brickwork visible, where here you can at least see that there is bricks. And this is like not a flat wall there. Same goes for here. Much more details for the Pura X. It's not great on the Pura X either, but it is a night and day difference when it comes to the ultra wide angle comparison between those two here, for sure. Main camera sensor is much closer, but again we get a warmer hue on the P50 Pocket. When I go in here, you can clearly see that it's a night and day difference again, where the P50 Pocket cannot compete against the Pura X. Just looks a little bit wishy-washy there, and both had like night mode kicked in there for this shot, and it took a few seconds for this shot, but this is way better on the Pura X. Look at the details here and compare it with here. No details there almost at all, and quite soft all over the place there. So the better sensor, definitely the main camera sensor on the Pura X, and this shows. When it comes to zoom, it's quite interesting because I couldn't get the Pura X to use its 3.5 times zoom lens here, so it is like sticking to a crop from the main sensor, and this is why it's looking so bad. And there you can see it's like bad versus worse. So it's like both are doing a pretty bad job there because the P50 Pocket doesn't have a dedicated telezoom lens. And it's just like overdoing it with the punch, with the colors there on the Pura X in its night mode there from the main sensor, the crop there. So yeah, cannot win. And when it comes to the selfies with the inner selfie screen, or the inner selfie camera, I mean, on both, this is what the P50 Pocket is doing there. It's a bit blurry. It's not perfect either on the Pura X, but it's much better than on the P50 Pocket. So yes, this is a night and day difference again. I think this is a total win for the Pura X. I'm a bit disappointed that it cannot use a 3.5 times zoom at night. At least when it's too dark there, it doesn't let me do it. Neither in night mode or in pro mode, I cannot get the 3.5 times zoom lens to show me anything if it's like too dark. So this is why I cannot show you samples here, because it was just simply too dark. That leads us to the ranking and conclusion. The Huawei P50 Pocket gets 3.902 points, where the Huawei Pura X gets 4.363 points. Where are the big differences? The main camera photo quality is a much newer sensor on the Pura X, RYYB sensor, together probably with the red maple sensor, giving us much more detail. Not always. The sharpness towards the edges was a bit better on the P50 Pocket, but in lower light situations it is definitely better and can compete with modern smartphone sensors on the Pura X for sure. The same almost goes for the ultra wide angle. It's a slightly bit better there on the Pura X. Same focal length, I think, between those two, but the Pura X has a little bit more detail there, and especially also in lower light situations is beating the P50 Pocket for sure in terms of details. The zoom plus portrait photo quality is much better on the Pura X, simply because the P50 Pocket doesn't have a telezoom lens, and the Pura X is very comparable to even like a Nubia Z60 Ultra's periscope zoom lens, also with the further zoom in effects like 85 and 170 millimeter. If you compare them side by side, the Pura X can compete, even though we have a much smaller sensor and we have also a little bit less megapixels, which is quite interesting. AI is helping there a lot. Video recording quality is also better than on the P50 Pocket, but here's where you notice the least amount of differences between those two. It is better in the sense of like zooming in and out is much smoother here, and also HDR is working a little bit better, and I think also stabilization is a tiny bit better there on the Pura X, and colors are also a bit nicer. It's a bit too punchy on the P50 Pocket. Autofocus performance on the P50 Pocket I had sometimes hit or miss. This is why 4.4, and on the Pura X never had the same good autofocus performance as I had with all the other flagships, so 4.5 points there. Front camera is basically the same, identical. The P50 Pocket looks a bit more artificial and the Pura X a little bit less artificial, but both are doing a fine job there with their 10 megapixel sensors there. The camera UI is a tiny bit more improved on the Pura X thanks to Harmony S5 that we have there. On the P50 Pocket we still have Emotion UI, 13 or 12? I don't know, maybe 14. It is an older version, doesn't have all the nice features as the new one on the Pura X has. In terms of the extra features, however, the P50 Pocket has an ace up its sleeve. It supports the nano memory cards, which Huawei invented basically, but is not using it anymore for their newer devices like the Pura X, which is a bit of a sad state. Otherwise, they are very comparable. They're hit or miss. Sometimes they have some features with the Leica filters on the P50 Pocket that we don't have on the Pura X anymore, but it's not a huge big difference between those two when it comes to those kind of things. So where does it leave us in the ranking list? The Pura X manages to get the 20th rank. This is like slightly above the Google Pixel 8 Pro, but below the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So where are the good points? It is a bit better with its main camera sensor than the Google Pixel 8 Pro. Can you believe that? Yes, because the Pixel 8 Pro has like lots of noise, over sharpening, and weird colors. This is where the Pura X is definitely winning. The Pura X is losing, however, with the ultra-wide angle against the Google Pixel 8 Pro that has a better ultra-wide angle, and it also has a better telezoom lens than the Pixel 8 Pro. When it comes to the rest, like the video performance is on par, the autofocus performance is on par, and the One thing where the Pura X is better than the Pixel 8 Pro is the front-facing camera there with 0.1 point more, and the rest is basically on par, just like the Pixel 8 Pro has this issue that it has only 4.1 points, therefore extra features, because we have a little bit lack of extra features there. And that is everything for this video. If you have some questions, put them down below. I hope you enjoyed this. Until the next time, bye.